Hey guys, Altavi's Pelza here, your voice manager, and I unmute the voice of women, ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. But guess what, guys? Uh, Everybody, do it with me. Take a deep breath. I know that you've probably had a stressful week. I know that you probably have kids screaming in the background. I know that you probably have a boss that sent you 15 emails in the last hour. And I know it can be stressful, but this episode is going to be the one where we get back into focus, where we go and we find our place of peace. I love this episode. I'm going to tell you why, because for me, and I had to come to grips with this, finding peace for me was finding laughter. It was going back and watching old school cartoons. It was watching old school movies. Things that my kids gave me the side eye about. But at times when I put things on, they would come and sit with me, and it created a peace in the home as a whole. So I'm excited about this episode because I want you to be able to create your own space of peace, no matter where that may be. And we're going to talk about what is something that's hindering you, from getting that peace and having and enjoying that peace. With that being said, Jonathan, hello, and thank you for being a guest on the show.
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
Yes, indeed it will. So tell the studio audience a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Well, I have a really unusual background. I was a suicidally depressed teenager who got into self-help and hypnosis and meditation at the ripe old age of 12. And I was meditating an hour a day by the time I was 13. I became a certified hypnotist by the time I was 15. And I found a spiritual teacher by the time I was 17. I spent a year in a Christian monastery, a year in a Buddhist monastery, a year in a Jewish monastery, a year in a Hindu monastery. So I have a background that way. But luckily I started writing books that Oprah liked. And so I got on her show a lot and got known for methods of finding peace that take under 5 minutes to do. Because I'm kind of lazy. And if something takes a while, I probably won't do it. So I developed a specialty, and I got to interview pretty much all the spiritual leaders in the world, ranging from Mother Teresa to the dalai-lama, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, Byron Katie, whoever you know. I have a podcast in which I interview those people. I always ask them, what's your best, most effective method for finding peace within that takes under 5 minutes? So I've kind of collected. I'm a collector of peace methods, and my life is great. It's very peaceful, and I like to share these methods wherever I can.
I like that. I'm going to tell you why that stood out so much for me. When it comes to finding your peace, it's going to look different for many people. And I know, for so many, it's been, I have to do it this way. I have to do it what this person said. No, you have to find what's going to be peaceful for you and be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
And be okay with it. So the conversations that you've had, what have you seen as one of the things that's been kind of like that foundational piece for each person?
Well, first, it helps to have the idea that a lot of people really think that they will have peace once everything in their world, their lives, their money, their politics is the way they want. And that's a hopeless endeavor, because nothing's ever going to be exactly the way you want. The Buddha said, don't search for peace outside of you, peace is within. And Jesus said the kingdom of heaven's within. But we're always like thinking, as soon as I got this problem solved, then I'll have peace. But it's always another problem. But peace is within. And if you know the right method, you can go within and really experience it no matter what kind of crap is going on in your life. So I think that's a foundational element. But then it's really a matter of finding methods that work for you. A lot of people have only been exposed to one or two methods. They've been exposed to maybe yoga or a type of meditation or prayer. I know of 186 methods, and the first 100 didn't work for me at all. They didn't work. And then I found methods that started to work, and I go, wow, everybody should know about this. And so I encourage people to try a lot of different stuff and find what works. And then once you found something that works, then you have a friend for life, because I can use this method. It takes me 3 minutes, and I experience pretty profound levels of bliss at this point. But that wasn't always the case. At first, it was like trying not to kill myself. But then it became, as I did these things, I got better and better at finding that kingdom of heaven within, or whatever you want to call it.
That's interesting too, because a lot of times, we would think that, okay, there's a couple ways to do it, or, you're right. There are a couple ways that people talk about, or a couple things that are kind of in the forefront, I'll say. They're the top things that are discussed in the media, but 100 and some odd different ways, different options, and the majority of them did not work for you.
Yeah.
That speaks to so many people, because most people, when the first few did not work, they would give up.
Yeah.
They would
right.
say that there's no peace to be had for me.
Right. It's kind of like if you don't like chocolate ice cream, you think maybe I hate ice cream. No, there's 100 different other flavors. If you keep trying, you'll probably find one you like.
True indeed. And it's okay if you don't like the first couple. That's all right. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Now, I know for you, you said you were able to talk to some influential people and really, like, I don't want to say pick their brain, but you were able to have real discussions with people, a lot of the people that are no longer here, that everybody does not have access to. So in trying to find what methods work, what is a way that people can go and do the research? Because, unfortunately, many people will go and they will ask Uncle Google or Auntie YouTube. And again, we talked about how there are some mainstream things that come up, but that's not going to give them access to all of the different options sometimes.
Yeah. Well, one free option that I think is great is I have a podcast called Awareness Explorers, in which I interview a lot of these spiritual leaders. And on that website, awarenessexplorers.com, I have in the navigation bar meditations. So I record their 4 to 15 minute guided meditations. And there's like 60 of them, and they're all free. And you can like go through each one and say, yeah, that one worked for me, or that one didn't work for me. And get exposed to 60 different methods in which people are guiding you right away for free. So that's a great resource. But you know what? I found that a lot of times people have a gift for something. Like my wife is a really good dancer. So she dances her way into peace. That doesn't work for me. I'm too lazy to dance. I like to, more focus on my breath, or focus on the background of awareness, or focus on a mantra. So I think, or one thing I focus on is how much I love my dogs. I'm a big dog lover. In fact, I wrote a book called Conversations with Dog. And I will sometimes just look at my dog, focus on how much I love them, and just allow myself to relax into that feeling of love. And, that's a meditation. So for some person, it might be nature. For another person, it might be dancing. For another person, it might be their dogs. And it's good to explore what you already have a gift for.
That's really powerful. So for those of you that are, let's be honest, going into a kind of stressful, shift as we go into trying to figure out what the new normal is, or the temporary normal, what is it that you already know that brings you peace? What is it that, or something that you enjoy, something that you love, that you can
Right.
really focus on. That's valuable. And then I think one of the things that I want to have you add or talk about as well is that it's okay for it to change as we get older, as we shift. And so speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, it's so important. I did a form of meditation that I learned early on, and it stopped working for me, but I did it for about 3 more years, and just 'cause I didn't have that idea that sometimes you change. When you're a teenager, you might like to, uh, you know, play with baseball cards, but when you're 30, you usually don't do that, So we do change, and being willing to always be kind of on the lookout for where you're feeling led now. I used to meditate an hour a day. Now I found it more useful to meditate for 5 minutes 5 times a day. So that was a change for me. And I used to hate dancing, but now my wife likes dancing. So as I've done it, that has become more fun for me. And I think any person that's growing, they're always looking for what feels right.
That part is so very valuable. So college students, our children, parents, teachers, definitely this is going to be the episode that you may want to go back and re-listen to a few times, or definitely reach out and go and check out the
And if you
podcast.
want, I could guide people in a 1 minute meditation now that has been shown to reduce cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone, for up to 5 hours.
Oh, I would love that. And I think
Okay,
the listeners would really, I think that would really help them.
well, let's do it. All that's required for this is that you have either a person or a child or a pet in mind that you really care about. I find that pets and children work really well in particular, but just choose one of those to think about. And if you can, close your eyes just for a moment and put your hand over your heart or the center of your chest. And just imagine breathing in to the center of your chest and feeling the warmth of your hand on your heart. And then, if you can, think of a person, a child, or a pet that you care about. And remember a special time with this being. Remember times you've shared that really felt wonderful and really felt loving and caring. And think of how lucky you are to have this being in your life to share a heart-to-heart connection with. If you want, you can imagine holding them or hugging them and feeling even more connected. Or imagine telling them how much you care about them and seeing how happy that makes them. And just feel grateful that you get to share this love and connection with this being. And with a deep breath, allow that feeling of love and connection to travel throughout your body. And then when you're ready, take as much time as you need. Just feel how relaxed you feel. And when you're ready, slowly begin to open your eyes. Stress is in our head, but when we move to our heart, it relaxes us and it centers us. And little methods like that, or even, if you're stressed out, taking a walk or looking at pictures of people you love, all these little methods, I literally will find my dog and rub her behind the ears and kiss her nose and tell her how much I love her. She likes it. I love it. And those little stress breaks during the day help to prevent the momentum of anxiety and overwhelm that so many people feel. And then if you can find like a guided meditation from, the Awareness Explorers site or some other thing, then, peace becomes just part of your day. And when the crap hits the fan, you're not so, whipsawed back and forth.
I love that you said that. And I want to make sure that we reiterate that piece is that this is something you can do consistently. Like you don't have to wait until you're stressed to take these moments. You don't have to wait until stuff hits the fan to, find this, but prepare, by going ahead and having this as something you do, in your morning routine.
Yeah.
Something you do during your lunch break, something you do, if you know that you're about to hit a whole bunch of traffic, then set yourself, in the right position, in the right mindset and frame of mind, and do it as soon as you get into your car, because you may be about to hit traffic, and it's being prepared and so that way you don't have to repair later.
Yeah, and when you feel peaceful, say around your loved ones, you're a better parent, you're a better partner, and you're better at work because you're not, so stressed out in your head. You're more clear-headed. So I think of it as like, just like I eat 3 meals a day to take care of my body. I meditate 3 times a day for 5 minutes to take care of my mind. And from when I feel really good and kind of connected to love or peace, then people react better to me, and good things tend to happen.
It definitely shifts your response. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
shifts your response. And that in turn, you never know how. This is one of the things that I love is that I always talk about how we can either infect or affect people.
Mm.
And so if you have that peace, then you're infecting and affecting them because they can respond to that peace. Whereas if you're coming to someone and it's already chaotic, you're chaotic before you come, it doesn't matter what the conversation is going to be. You've already brought chaos into the conversation.
Yeah, yeah. One way to tap into this piece is through gratitude. When I interviewed a lot of people, they mentioned gratitude was a great way to do that. And a quick funny story: a friend of mine went to India, and he told me he got this amazing mantra for feeling gratitude throughout the day. I asked him what the mantra was, and he said, "I can't tell you. You'll have to get it from the guru yourself." So I traveled all the way to India to get this mantra, and India's 18,000 miles away, and then I took a rickshaw for 5 hours, and then I had to wait in line for 4 hours to get this damn mantra. So I finally tell the guru, I came here to get your mantra to help me feel gratitude during the day. And in an Indian accent, he says, "Ah, yes, my mantra is the most powerful mantra on earth." And he leans in to whisper in my ear, and he says, "Whenever possible, to repeat these words. The mantra I give you are the words, thank you." I look at him, I go, "That's it? I traveled all the way to India to get that? That's it?" And he looks at me and he says, "No, that's it is the mantra you have been using. That makes you feel like you never have enough. My mantra is thank you, not that's it. That's it will take you nowhere." So
I hope y'all were listening to that one. Like you may have to go back and rewind and re-listen to that part because saying thank you goes such a long way. Just those 2 simple words are so
and
valuable.
you can do it 100 times a day. This is my 5-second technique. Like as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking, well, thank you that I get to reach other people through Zoom for free by sitting in my air-conditioned office. I mean, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then go and you eat something and there's food there in my pantry. Thank you. Here's a drink. Thank you for this. Think of all we have to be grateful for, even in a pandemic. So just, saying either thank you to God or thank you to the universe for the little things in life helps you to feel more peaceful. And that's a method that only takes 5 seconds to do. So there's a lot of great ways to tap into the peace. And if you make that a priority, rather than thinking I'll have peace someday in the future, you just say, well, peace is going to become part of my life. It's like a companion.
Now, I know that you said, your wife, her way of tapping into her peace is through dance. Has there ever been a moment where she's looked at you and said, okay, I need you to go find your peace. I need you to go, like she sent you to the peace corner?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thankful, when you get those reminders. I have little Post-it reminders I put everywhere that, say stuff, and I put, remember, thank you, or whatever method I'm using that day. And, in this day and age with a pandemic and politicization of everything and polarization and, the economy, you need all the help you can get.
Yeah.
So I make sure I make it part of my day.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely that speaks volumes. Simply because, and I think this is one of the elephants in the room, is that even though we know the power of peace, it's still not something that's taught in our schools. It's still not something that's put into practice at our businesses and at jobs. And I think only within, maybe I want to say, the last 5 years, you've even saw some of the bigger name companies start to implement some things, but it's still not at a level to where you can really change the dynamic of your business if you just put some peace moments in there, put some, I know they used to laugh about some of the businesses that started to have like video games and pool tables, but the reality is that a lot of times we go through so much of hiring and rehiring because people are stressed. It's a high turnover rate. People are stressed. And if we could find some way to kind of relieve that, why not tap into that?
Yeah, I've done a lot of talks I'm a corporate speaker mostly nowadays, now on Zoom, of course, but previously I talked to like Microsoft or Google, and some of those talks you can find on YouTube. And they realized that the bottom line was being helped by me teaching them mindfulness techniques. So, finally the corporate world said, wow, this is actually helping our business. And I think when you realize that it not only makes you feel better, but you actually make more money and you have better relationships when you feel peace, then people go, well, gee, maybe I'll invest some time, energy, and money in finding out how I can get that.
Oh, I love it. Now, I know for you, you talked about how this started early on, as early as, you said, as early as 12, right?
Yeah.
That this started early on, this process and this journey. And, for someone who, right now they're like, how do I start my child on this journey? Like, as an adult, okay, I know how to set myself, aside to be able to take those moments of peace. But how do I really set my child on this journey? What are the steps to be able to begin that process for them?
Well, it can be hard because we all have one of these. I call it a widget, a WMD, a widget of mass distraction. And although there are some really good apps for guided meditation, like Headspace or Calm, or my website, Awareness Explorers, that can guide even young kids into feeling calmer in themselves. And I think that's important to, especially maybe over the age of 10, to have little moments where they're not constantly distracted, where they're okay being by themselves for a few minutes. That's what human beings should be able to do. And that does take practice, and like any skill, you get better at it the more you do it. When I first started meditating, it was kind of hard and not that relaxing, but over time it became very easy and blissful. So, it is a skill that you can improve on.
So all of you parents and teachers out there that have been trying to figure out, okay, just how are we going to make this a peaceful homeschooling experience? Definitely tap into, the things that bring you joy. Tap into where is the love coming from? Tap into, going for a walk, if that's what it is for you. But make it a habit. Make it a habit. Do it consistently. And I think also when it comes to, implementing it for your children, that consistency will help them to be able to further down the line be able to do the same thing.
Yeah.
That makes such a big difference. Speakeasy podcast listeners, I know that, for this particular episode, man, we could go on and on, because when it comes to being peaceful, you just want to sit in it. You just want to stay there. But I know that you guys have things to do. And so, Jonathan, let them know how they can reach out to you, and also where they can get access to your books.
Sure. Well, they can. My main website is findinghappiness.com, and I have a bunch of free stuff there called Happiness Hacks and the 12 Questions for Instant Intimacy, which are fun. And then I have the podcast and website awarenessexplorers.com, and there's a bunch of free guided meditations, and people can listen to the podcast as well. And my books are on the findinghappiness.com website.
Great. Oh my goodness. Speakeasy podcast listeners, man, I know what brings me peace. I know the things that bring me joy, and they may not be things that other people enjoy or like or understand, but there are some things that really work for me. And I want you guys to make sure that you tap into those things that are going to work for you. Why? Because guess what? This can still be a successful year. This can still be a year of peace. No matter what is going on around you, it is the peace that you create within you that matters. So with that being said, tap into it, make it a habit, and then share it with someone else, so that way they can create their own peace as well. Guys, this has been another episode of the Speakeasy Podcast, and until next time, don't forget to press it out. See ya.